Welcome, everyone. This is once again your host, Shailesh, bringing you live the topics that we always go out of the box and the topics that really matters to us because we exist. And when we say we exist, so how do we exist? Is it through our body we exist, or is this through our mind we exist? Let's experience this beautiful conversation that I'm going to have today with none other than Michelle, who is all the way from Australia, which is my kind of neighbor. So I just told her that you are my neighbor. How did I miss you? So let's now talk about, because when you say we miss, that means we have to experience that missing thing. But when you have everything, we still miss something. So this is a conversation that is going to go into various layers and dimensions, and I don't know where, but we are going to spontaneously talk about this topic, which is the out of body experience. Now, what is out of body experience and what exactly this is all we want to know, and why do we want to know? Because we exist. When we exist, we want to know, we want to experience, we want to explore. So I'm going to explore because I myself, being a seeker, being an rather than a believer. So I like to only those people who want to seek or who thinks they can explore or who think they can create and do anything, they have to understand what is out of body experience. And Michelle, welcome to this beautiful episode that today we are going to do spontaneously. And I don't know, Michelle, you tell me, she is also like a mentor, like a coach, which is also consciousness, you call it a coach. And so conscious is something that we have to experience because subconsciously we do many things. Consciously, we actually know what we are doing. And that is why I am going to have a brainstorm with Michelle, none other than, who is going to be a beautiful conversation today. So, Michelle, tell me something about you first, little bit, and then we can just jump into this beautiful topic that we have created today, all of a sudden.
Hey Shailesh, I'm so grateful that you are open to discussing this type of topic because it does seem woo-woo or strange, particularly in my culture. I have to say that way back to the Captain Cook's boat. Apparently, we have our generational family line that came from
Hmm.
Europe to live in Australia and to talk about these topics. I couldn't find help when it happened to me. This
Right.
is why I'm obsessed about speaking about it online,
Mhm.
because I had to fly to New Zealand and speak to some Maori mystics that
Wow.
told me, actually, that's normal. This is the spirit aspect of self. And I couldn't find that help or conversation within my cultural background. And
Mm.
yet we're so much more than the body. So I'm grateful that you actually mentioned that you're a seeker, because
Mm.
that's a word that I use for myself as well. Seek and you'll find.
Mm.
And and if we don't have this childlike, playful characteristics, then we might just settle for a rather mundane lifestyle, and that isn't who
Absolutely.
I am. And so I have been guided by spirit to help others to embrace co-creation,
Yes.
which involves this conscious manifestation over and above the subconscious. The subconscious manifestation is we're manifesting, but we're not aware of it. And so a lot of what we're manifesting is chaotic. So I'm
True.
grateful for this. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. No, very well. I think this is a great experience that we all have and we should have and we keep having. And that is because we are seekers. But also, as you rightly mentioned, that, we are travelers because we travel as a human. Whether we travel as a body, we travel as a mind, but we do travel. And so to travel, you got to have this beautiful experience. You have to get out of your own skin that people say sometimes. What does that mean? Getting out of your skin? Or what does it mean to really experience the deja vu of every single moment that we are here? So I'm going to go back to this beautiful topic of out of body. First of all, tell me why we as a humans, what you have experienced so far, that you love this topic, but more than the topic, you have experienced this in terms of that. Let's understand, what does it do to you when you realize that there is beyond life what we see or what we have been told to see?
You started at the pinnacle, at the crown of the magic of this, because we go through life unconsciously stressing about it,
Correct.
everything. I don't care who you are or what
Correct.
demographic or cultural background you come from.
Correct.
Life is difficult, and we have traumas that we have collected, right from early childhood. We have the voices of other people that have spoken prophetic things over us, which are in essence waves or vibrations or frequencies that we have to bust out of. Like, for example, I'll make that real for me. And my father said to me when I was very young, "You won't amount to anything."
Mm,
And he said that in anger. And he
mm,
was a dysfunctional man, bless him. But he was also a powerful lesson for my shadow to realize that I'm so much more than
mm,
this broken little child that grew up with this abuse. And so, what happens when you hit a I don't know how it happens. I feel like it's a divine switch. I know that you've experienced it as
absolutely.
a near death experience. For me, it was different, but
Hmm.
the same results. For me, it happened while I was awake. I had two girlfriends in the bedroom of my girlfriend's house in a different state. So I wasn't even in my own home. I had come off intense prayers and meditations, a whole season of it that I'd been called into, and I was lifted up out of my body, and then this portal opened. And what happened to me is an irreversible change.
Mm.
I looked down upon my body fighting. I was literally standing up like in those Chinese movies.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was talking to myself saying, "What am I doing?" And
Hmm.
it does sound and seem crazy, but in that moment, a split second, the divine showed me that I'm so much more than the avatar body.
Hmm.
And I realized, wow, I'm in this essence of love up here. I was in this heavenly dimension. There was a cold portal open that my girlfriends witnessed. They felt the cold, it was there for hours.
Sure. Mm.
And I realized that I need not worry about anything, that I am being divinely guided, that everything that I'm fighting with in
Hmm.
this 3D dimensional state, I'm
Mm.
actually fighting against myself.
Mm.
So I mentioned briefly about the echoes of my father's egregore, his
Mhm.
shadow, his anger, his projections into my vibrational field. They're not mine.
Mm.
Let's shift them. Let's be intentional. Let's consciously, I'm here to do the sacred work, not just for me, but for him and for all the others in my bloodline. And that's where I get really excited teaching these
Mm.
things, Shalish. And I'm
Mm.
sure you have your own uh,
Yeah,
perspectives with the near death experience because I've watched
absolutely.
a lot of YouTube videos on this and they're all speaking the same language,
Mm.
regardless of culture or
Absolutely.
background or age. They're all saying, you know what, up here, it's just love. It's just love. This is
Yeah.
the energy of the divine. That's who we really are at soul level. Isn't that exciting?
I'll give you a very simple, on that note, a very identity that we have. When we eat food, the food has got many identities. This is vegetable, this is fruits, this is protein, this is all that identities. However, in reality, when you are a human, when you are a spirit, when you know you are basically experience coming to experience here, the food that matters to your body, the food that adapts to your body, that is the best food for your body. There is no identity, there is no titles, there is no segregations of this you eat and that you eat, and this is good and that is bad. No, it's only the food that comes and takes into your body that is required, which is adaptable to the body, that matters and that keeps you alive. That's it. It's very simple. But people have given so many labels to this food. And so they are missing the point of the life journey. We are here to experience. It doesn't matter who we are. It doesn't matter what culture, as you rightly said, what background, what identity, what language we come from. Doesn't matter. Water is water. Air is air. It goes everywhere, and same as ocean and same as mountains, you experience everything. That's why I say to this one little piece, when you want to experience out of body experience, we are talking. So when you want to experience a world trip, people want to go in the world and say, I want to experience world trip. so I can enjoy. And I tell them, if you want to really want to experience world trip, meet the different peoples from the world. That's your world trip. Because everywhere you go, the land is same, the ocean is same, the mountain is same, the water is same, the air is same. There's nothing different you can find to survive. But you will explore amazing things if you meet humans of different world. And that's the beauty of what I put it in. So coming back into this out of body experience, I want to ask you this with your uh, experience that we say we exist. Okay, we exist. How do we exist? Is it our body that people see and they say you exist? Or is it something else that you want to show something, create something, then you exist? See, these are two different things, like, but people think it's one thing only. I see you, you see me. And so you say, okay, you exist, I exist. Now, that is only from the seeing point of view. But in real sense, is this existence? Or when you have done something and you created something and I see that your creation and I say you exist, you know, there is a fine line. But out of body is exactly like that. Is our body gives the impression that we exist, or something our body does that gives you the experience that yes, you exist, or we want to experience that because you have done that, you have created that, and I want to do that, I want to create that, or I want to experience that. So what's your line on out of body concept that all humans that are listening should be making sure that understand what is out of body for them?
Wow, it's such a huge topic. It's hard to
I
know
know
where
it
to
is.
bite off, but I have resolved myself to the experience that the avatar, my body here,
Hmm.
who
Hmm.
I used to identify as me. I used to think this was me. And the inner critic, so loud for most people, particularly for women. I say that with so much love to any cis
Hmm.
star, yeah, and
Yeah.
listen to the word, it's got the word star in it, that might
Hmm.
be listening to this that has low self-esteem or doesn't like the way they look, or
Correct.
the reflection in the water or the
Mm.
reflection in the mirror, and mirrors are portals. This is how I accessed heaven. I went up a
Yes.
a mirror without even trying.
Mm.
um, we are a light body force first and foremost, right? We
Mm.
know now scientifically that the body matter is light particles in a dense state. So
Mm.
is that all of me, or does my light extend beyond? We can see the ancient maps of, a tree growing up through earth and this beautiful magnetic field around it. Well, we're exactly the same. We're
Mm.
made in that image. So we have this tree, which I like to explain to my clients. That's your nervous system. We
Mm.
manifest from the tree of life or the tree of good and evil. We
Mhm.
manifest according to the energies and the emotional energies that we're holding. If we're sending our light to
Mm.
past events, which are often traumatic,
Automatic,
we,
yeah.
we haven't got control of the mental that you mentioned.
Mm. Mm.
When you understand manifestation, everything's mental.
Absolutely, yeah.
I am this multidimensional being that, if I can visualize it in a timeline, a potential timeline, if I can embody it, just like you mentioned, Shailesh, about the food. I
Mm.
eat the food, I become the food. Am I
Mm.
the food? I'm separate from the food, but the foods become one with me. It's the
Mm.
same with emotional energy and
Mm.
manifestation, or
Yeah.
thought processes, visualizations, things that bring things into our projection, where light projects, right? So
Yes.
when I think about this, it excites me to see it back to front, because I think, wow, where I accessed was soul level. I actually met ascended masters. I was shown heavenly dimensional gates that I never knew were possible. Not in my cultural teachings and religious upbringing, anyway.
Yeah.
I know that others are aware of this, but in my culture, it just wasn't taught that way. It was like, when you're dead, you're gone. And,
Mm.
and I looked at this and I thought, wow, I want to stay here. And there was a team of guides that said to
Mm.
me, you can't, you haven't finished your soul mission.
So true.
So
Mm-hmm.
I asked myself, has my higher self, before I landed in this body,
Mm,
made an agreement that
mm,
now I have to follow through using my light that's fallen into this avatar? I feel the bridge between soul and body, who we
mm,
think we are in this avatar. The connector is spirit. And
mm,
if we align our spirit with the divine's will of spirit, we basically take up that universal law. I'm going to love myself so that I can love you. Because most people's
absolutely.
issue is they don't like themselves, and I expect them
Yes.
to love me unconditionally. How is that even rational? It's
Mm,
not.
mm,
Like, I'm expecting, uh, we meet people where they're at. And if they're a broken little child, their inner child, like mine, was traumatized, and I'm
mm,
thinking I'm not such a good person, I'm on this subconscious loop of trying to prove the echo of my father's belief system by
mm,
becoming a workaholic and killing
mm.
myself. You know,
So true.
and so just
Mm,
resting in the fact that you have made a soul agreement
mm,
long before you landed in this
mm.
body that might exist healthily for 70, 80, 90, 100 years maybe.
Absolutely. Mm,
uh, we do know that some grandmasters have ascended with the body. I don't know how that looks. You do need to get to crystalline
mm,
state though, but the access point is there for as long as you're here to draw in
mm.
wisdom beyond your own understanding. And that
Absolutely.
is freedom.
Mm,
It is so great. And when we look at it in the matter dimension, because that's where matter's ruled by Saturn, right? Like we are
mhm,
in this dimension of karmic loop of things that we think are physically tangible, like this cup looks real, but is it? No, it's light particles vibrating. It's just that I'm perceiving this as a solid cup. But if somebody else wasn't seeing the cup's not there for them. This is quantum science. And
yes.
so when I realize this, whatever I give my attention to
Mhm,
amplifies, energizes. Now imagine a collective of people that get this now,
mm,
manifesting this world to be a better place.
mm.
It's entirely possible to shift with a miracle overnight, which excites me.
Yes, yes, absolutely. You said that very well in terms of, manifestation and mentoring. So I always say that when you manifest, that means you become a mentor of your own, basically. Otherwise, you are called mentor because you're mentoring someone. But really speaking, you are a mentor of your own. And when you do manifestation, it is mentoring your own manifestation.
It is. I said that to my client this morning on
Yeah.
session. You know, we
Right.
gravitate to people vibrationally. The
Mm,
old me that wasn't particularly spiritual
mm.
used to think everything was a coincidence.
Yeah,
When I see it from this higher perspective, I realize that everybody that I meet, including somebody that annoys me or prickles me or
absolutely.
triggers my emotional state, is a reflection of me actually. And so, whilst I can't change them, the matter,
Mm,
I can ask myself what matters, what in me is attracting this,
absolutely.
work on the energy of it, and then the
Mm,
external shifts.
yeah.
I'll either attract more of the same because I need the lesson, or I will repel that because they are past examples of who I used to be.
Mm,
And
yeah.
this is mind blowing. It's
Mm,
that simple. Everything is energy. So it's the
mm,
wave particles attracting either the polar opposite or more of the same. And
mm,
we can ride that intentionally, co-creating with powerful mindsets if we
mm.
tune into things that really
Yeah.
matter. Like when I see it from soul level, Shailesh, I can't have judgment because I
Correct.
recognize at soul level you're me.
Mm,
You're a reflection of me. And
absolutely.
so if there's something in you that I don't particularly vibe with, that's because I haven't worked on or seen that. I haven't switched the light on for that within my shadow.
Mm.
This is powerful.
This is very powerful, and that's probably why I say to people that when you mentioned about your sisters, like all the woman fraternity in this whole universe, have got a very analogy for that. When I had that experience at the age of 23, I saw and I asked this question to my mom that, like why is not called the source of all humans? Why sun is called the source of energy? but we can't see energy, but still we believe and we still accept it. Whereas women, we see that they are the source of all humans, but we don't accept it. We don't talk about it. And that's where I always say to women that, you are a beautiful face or whatever you call it, but a beautiful face will age. Whether you have a perfect or imperfect body, it will change. But a beautiful soul will never change, will always be beautiful. And you should have a connection on the soul level rather than, oh, I like you because your hairs are red, or I like you because you wear blue. No. Is your soul beautiful? That you want to interact, want to talk, because communication, whatever you say, our existence, our experience, out of body experience, our body experience and out of body experience, if you look at it, it all comes down to your soul thinking. Like, is it your divine connection connected to soul? Is your soul connected to the divine? As you mentioned, that you have experienced that. So, like you see, so whenever you see, you recollect memories, but then you are conscious to recollect. And that's the trouble, that most of the people don't are not conscious about it. They'll always want to be in that safe zone or a convenience zone or a lazy zone, I call it, as a subconsciously. Subconscious is a lazy thing to me, because that you don't have to take any effort. It tells you whether you are hungry, whether you are thirsty, whether you are painful, whether it's hurting your body, all that things this tells you. Whereas if you want to really, really know anything about you, that why you exist, then you have to put your mind and soul into the conscious aspect.
I'll teach you a trick that you may know or may not.
Yeah,
Some of the
tell me.
viewers definitely won't know this, and this is something that I teach in my membership. The Divines taught me to reprogram the subconscious mind with a very simple way, and it's
Hmm.
asking questions of yourself that you might
Absolutely.
actually be asking to God or high power,
Yep.
but you are actually asking this of the part of you that is connected to soul. So it would be three simple questions. Who am I?
Yeah.
Sit with that. Why was I born?
Yeah.
Let,
Yeah.
let's activate remembering.
Yeah.
Um, how will I help humanity? This is a higher level of consciousness than
Hmm.
this.
Then I'm
Oh,
here to survive.
well, yeah, survival instinct, right? We
Yeah.
know when the nervous system is
Yeah.
trapped in fight or flight
Hmm.
or freeze, it's in survival mode. This is the animal mode of the human avatar, right? The beast system. We see it playing out here now governmentally. It's operating in control. I'm only thinking of myself. I'm separate to you. We see terrible things happening. Like, I want to rip you up. I want to do this. People
Hmm.
fighting, arguing, trolling each other. It's crazy, right? But this
Hmm.
is not connected with higher self. So I have this beautiful little mantra every day that I just say to myself, I choose to operate from my highest timeline.
Hmm.
Let it land, trust it, believe it, and watch it happen. And then give gratitude for it. You know, Shailesh, that gratitude, as
Hmm.
simple as that is, it's hard when we're in an imbalanced nervous system to stay in an attitude of gratitude, but that's what connects us to the divine and to all of these spirits that are there to help us, that are operating in perfect love again.
Hmm.
We all leave our bodies.
Of
Every
course.
single night we leave
Absolutely.
our bodies. Most
Absolutely.
people are accessing dream state to process the subconscious program.
Hmm.
This is why we have nightmares. This is
Hmm.
why we have recurring dreams. The subconscious mind is programming with symbols, actually.
Hmm.
But I want to wheel it back into the mental structure here of how can we shift things simply? Well, I feel it's with discipline.
Hmm.
Simple discipline, because if you see your avatar, your body, your house as a computer that is
Hmm.
being programmed by any light or sound that's being flashed in, this is sound healing. I'm a sound healer, so I'm
Hmm.
always going to will it back to that.
Hmm.
I worked in advertising my whole life. I can tell you now how to program the subconscious mind to buy something. Is
Right.
that done in a good way in this dimension yet?
Hmm.
Not really,
Hmm.
because it's using light, sound, and repetition and certain frequencies to program your subconscious mind. We just spoke into women. Why do women feel they need to look perfect? Why do
Correct.
women feel the need to constantly show up in an inauthentic way? Why are they adjusting who they are as an avatar when their soul chose this avatar and it's all you're already perfection?
Correct.
Everything in nature's perfect. It's impossible to be imperfect, actually. We're made in the image of this beautiful universe.
Mm,
And so the way I wheel this back to a little bit of discipline is ask yourself, what am I watching? And my mind, my subconscious mind doesn't have the ability to decipher is this truth or not. Whatever you put into the subconscious mind, it just takes that as data.
mm,
It's the data part of the brain. And so if I'm watching things on TV and listening things with music that are negative, that are feeding my damaged nervous, when I say damage, I mean my nervous system that's not calm, my fear. If I'm feeding my fear daily, that's going to be my autopilot. So I'm
absolutely.
going to consciously shift that with myself and my clients to prove to them that this actually works. Like, take every thought captive. Is this thought loving? If it isn't, it's got to delete the file, take in the new program from soul level, from higher self, from the divines
Mm.
level where everybody has ascended and they've shown us the way.
So in terms of like, when we talk about, as you mentioned and touched on very nicely, I was about to bring that topic about dreams because is this dreams is an out of body experience to me in terms of like every people have got that experience, but they are not conscious enough to understand. And that is the only difference between people who understand spirituality or spirituality has come kicked in them. And so they became conscious. Whereas when you don't have that level of spirituality concept kicked in, you still are in the mode of subconscious mind. And subconsciously you like to do everything because it happens just the way you expect, thinking that it is close to what your expectation. So you want to do that same thing all the time. But when you are in the dreams and when you are out of body experience, so you're sleeping, but then you don't know whether your body exists, but you know that your mind exists because it's dreaming. So it's taking you to a different dimension. Whereas physically, when you wake up in the morning, you realize that, oh, I can walk, I can stand, I can talk, then you have that body experience. But in terms of out of body experience, which you touched on, is the dreams. We should probably do a topic on that, which is quite a whole big topic again. But tell me something about like, what are the different things and experiences that a human has when it comes to out of body? So out of body is the concept, or is it something consciously you realize, or is it everybody can actually take a little bit of consciousness to find out what is their out of body experience?
I think everybody has the ability for this, but our society has set us up to not easily access it anymore. One of
Mm,
the things that I mentioned earlier was that I spent my life
mm,
working too much. And so I
mm.
wasn't
Yes.
resting, right? To access the ability to leave your body, rest is integral.
Mm, mm.
Uh, this is why, if you want to go deep, like the Jewish would say, resting on the Sabbath, Sabbath.
About,
It
yeah.
is the Saturn. It's Saturn, right? So Saturn is this karmic loop
Hmm.
as a planetary. And if I'm not resting, I'm going to keep making that. We all have loops in our subconscious mind, right? You'll see this, or we might have friendships that abandon us, or we have relationship breakups, or we lose money all the time. If you can witness the pattern, you can jump out of the loop. But if you
Mm,
can't, if you're not conscious of the pattern, it'll be rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. And what I've noticed is the patterns go for 7 years. Why seven?
mm,
Seven, 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 because
mm,
karmically Saturn is eight,
mm,
number eight, right? So it's the scale, the body is 666. We're scaling up to seven, yeah,
mhm.
spirit bridge level. And
Yeah.
if I witness the pattern, I can leap out of it before Saturn kicks in again. The cycle of the lesson, because our souls have agreed to learn something. Now, I
Mm,
could sit here as a victim consciousness and say, oh my gosh, I had so much trauma growing up. It's not
mm,
my fault. It's my father. It's my partner that I then got into a very violent relationship with,
mm,
and suffered traumatically. I could blame, 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 or I could sit back and rest and
mm,
say to myself, how can this pain lead to my purpose? Did my
mm.
soul ask for this? And in doing this, I wouldn't be sitting here today having these conversations with somebody
Absolutely.
like you, expanding the hope and the dreams for other people that might
Mm,
be stuck, but they might hear this video today and say,
mm,
wow, if
mm,
they can do it, so can
mm,
I. And so
mm,
slowing down is number one.
mm,
Number two is feeling into, you'll often get a pressure on your body, which
mhm.
feels like you're dying,
Yeah.
right? So this, the avatar, I've heard of others that witness a big loud noise too. What I feel like in the spirit releasing out of the body, we have to overcome the fear of death, which
Mm,
is, if you think about it,
mhm,
on the scale of consciousness, there's really only two energies. Everything else in between is just cleverly put into a different box. Saturn is the box symbol, right?
mm,
So we've got love and we've got fear and everything else in between. So my clients will come in and go, oh, I suffer with anxiety. And I'm like, okay, let's get to the root of what the fear is. Or
mm,
I suffer with abandonment issues. Okay, let's get to the issue of what the root of
mm,
fear is. Everything is fear, it's separation from love. When I realize that I'm not afraid of death,
mm.
I can walk on water, I can walk through walls, I
Absolutely.
can be anywhere at the
Anyway.
same time. I can realize that this, you might call it the auric field. I call it it's the apple. On your laptop, on your computer, if you have an Apple device, it has the apple there with a bite out of it. Why?
Mm,
Because when we use too much tech, it is
mm,
affecting our electromagnetic field. The electromagnetic field is where your spirit can be
mm,
thrown.
mm,
So I do that with the mental, right? Because I am
mhm,
an interdimensional being. I visualize using the third eye. I go inward and I say, today I'd like to fly to New Zealand.
mm,
And we see this even within the CIA now. They're doing remote viewing. Maybe not with the best of intentions, but they have accessed these
mm,
states of consciousness
mm,
to know that I'm so much more than the house.
mm,
So what happens when you die?
mm,
You you don't separate immediately. You have this silver cord.
mhm,
There is a silver cord on the inside of your navel which connects your spirit to your avatar. And that
mhm,
will only cut and release if the heavenly guides say, yes, your soul has achieved what you agreed to achieve in this particular lifetime. And boom, the silver cord will be cut. You'll go back to source.
mm,
So, discipline is everything. It's resting, it's looking after yourself with nutrition, as you mentioned. But we were
mhm,
talking about embodying food. I want you to think about everything as energy now. So, what thoughts did I ate the best food, but my thoughts were maybe my goal is weight loss and I ate the best foods, but I'm not losing weight. I'll say to them, well, what did you think about when you were eating that? Well, I didn't. Yuck, I hate that food. So, you're putting the vibe of hate into the food and ingesting it. And this is
correct.
where everything is energy. It's
Mm,
light particles
yeah.
vibrating at a certain state. So the discipline that I'm asking for you all to access today is to love on everything that you ingest.
Mm, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this comes down to me is it's a beautiful in-depth conversation that many people probably have got questions and many people have got understanding or lack of understanding or thinking, how do I understand what they are talking about, this outer body experience? And it comes to my mind, you touched on very soon. I was about to ask that at the final end of the session about death, about how do you experience out of body experience. You said a little bit, you elaborated about when you die, this is what happens, this is what you have to think. But here is something that I want to ask these questions that, out of body experiences, do we have to die to get this out of body experience in normal terms, in general terms, as a layman, as a common man? I'm asking you. I don't know anything about it, thinking that, okay, I'm not aware. I have experience, but thinking for 1 second. I said, okay, I don't have any experience about anything. But I want to ask this question to you as a layman. What do we have to die to get this out of body experience? Or can we experience this body when we experience bodily experiences? Can we experience out of bodily experiences? Now, it's again comes back to that simple thing of consciousness. It comes back to that simple, a deeper understanding of who you are, what you are, why are you here, why are you being brought on this planet, or what is your purpose to do? And all these questions that people don't tend to ask themselves. Very few people ask this question to themselves. They do ask the same question to others, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
they don't ask themselves, hey, why are you doing? What are you doing this? And why are you doing that? And what is the purpose? They ask others. But that same questions, if they turn towards them, probably this bodily experience, what you are talking about, or after body experience, what would you say to this kind of
I
experience?
think I love that you wove that in. Like we look for answers outside of us, where in
Yeah.
fact the soul agreement's written in your DNA. And this is what the divine showed me. I was praying, like, show me, like a victim.
Yeah, yeah, becoming a victim.
Which isn't gratitude, right? It's very
Yes, yes,
childish. Now I
of course.
realize that it's the evolution of how you tap into
Mm,
spiritual things. But
mm,
I was shown ask yourself. And so when we do that, we activate the DNA. The soul's already got your blueprint. I call it the blueprint,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
So one thing that I was shown that I haven't actually spoken into before. It was a second out of body experience that happened to me in one particular day. The
mhm,
first time I was very clunky and I actually couldn't land back in my body. It was
mm,
hilarious. We're like children remembering that we can fly. Yeah, this angelic part of us can fly, obviously, but we've forgotten. And it's in the West ruling the world, we've lost touch with the mystical side that indigenous cultures knew about because
mm,
consciousness has fallen.
mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've ended up living separate, not in community. We're very much like little cells in prison now instead of working as one big soul organic. That's what Eka means actually. We're one. We're one. You're me, I'm you. So if I
Mm.
hurt you, I'm hurting me.
Yeah.
We're working more as a temple
Mm,
together
mm, mm,
to embody God's energy. But what I was shown was that there is an access point by lying flat. And I had this angelic being say to me after coming back to my body the second time in one day. The first time I got stuck, the arm
mm,
was here, and I was like frozen, and which
mm,
that's a bit scary. And
mm, mm,
this
mm,
voice said to me, tell your friends to anoint you and to cover the mirror with silk. I
mhm.
was like, whoa, that's whack. But as soon as my friends did it, boom, I was back in the body. Then a few hours later, it happened to me again. They must be thinking I'm tripping. I'm not on anything. There are no, I'm not on anything. I'm on my journey of
Mm,
remembering. The
mm,
second journey, on coming back to the body, it was a much better landing. And this angelic being, I was standing up, weirdly, standing up, landed in my body, like think of the helicopter landing on the X this time. And then
absolutely.
this angelic being said to me, lie on your back.
Mm,
I wasn't speaking words, I was telepathically communicating. I said, I can't lie on my back. And this being said to me, really? Watch this because they're so funny. And touched me here, and I fell back like a cross. I was literally an open box. Now, remember, I said to you that Saturn, the symbol for Saturn is the
right.
cube.
Yeah.
If we understand this at a molecular level in our crystalline water matrix,
Mm,
I had become, as a fractal, the open cube, and the heart is crystalline as well. So
mhm.
that is the temple. Your body is the living temple for the divine spirit to flow through you. I
Right.
had the most incredible encounters and visions with that action. And the realization after that was, I can't sleep on my back at night. Why? Because I sleep in fetal position in trauma still. I scrunch up. Now,
Mm,
everybody, as we mentioned, leaves their body every single night.
mm,
But the first place you go to is matching the dimension of the energies that you have embodied. So
Mm,
if we haven't done deep healing, I'm going to be going to entity level. I'm going to be matching the trauma level of the shadow dimensions. I'm going to be seeing some things that are quite scary. I'm
mm,
going to be seeing, and this is why I think in my culture particularly, they've thrown the baby out with the bathwater. They've made it all seem devilish and
mm,
not understood that they're actually in control of that. And
mm,
the goal of the soul is to elevate, what am I
mm.
thinking every day? What
Yeah.
am I eating? What am I embodying? Why did I do that? Why am I
Mm,
unkind? Why am I triggered? Why am I having negative dreams?
mm, mm.
Whereas the Indigenous Australians would say that dream time is really where it's happening, and this is just the projection.
Yeah, yeah. No, this is beautiful. I think that brings down to the final question that I have, or it's mind-boggling to me, is like what you are telling me. But also, interestingly, I wanted to accept out-of-body experiences, like, someone, because there are many people who go into trauma, who go into events happens in their life. Sometimes they are almost like near death,
Mm.
and then they come back, but then they come back, but then in that moment are they experiencing this, can we call it that as out of body experience that they are having, and then when they come back, they know, as you said, now they are completely in their body,
I'm
but knowing.
I'm so glad you brought this up because I have never been able to vocalize this, but you've triggered
Mm,
something in me for the positive to explain.
mm,
Why has
okay.
this happened to me? Because as a child, I was excellent at disassociating,
Mm-hmm.
leaving my body
Mm-hmm.
while I was being harmed and hurt,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I was witnessing it, but it was too scary to be here in it. Like love cannot suffer to that degree. It's the mind is incredible. If you a lot of clients that I've worked with have alters or
Mm-hmm.
different personalities
Mm-hmm.
operating on different timelines. One might be age 3, one might be age 14, one might be 23, one might be
Yeah.
50.
Yeah.
And what we need to do is make it's safe for them to integrate again.
Mm-hmm.
Is disassociation bad? I think it's the cleverest thing that the brain has ever been able to invent to protect us from trauma.
Yes.
But the trauma
Mm.
creates a soul mission track
Mm.
because of frequency, I believe. It
Yeah.
is not a coincidence that I work with a lot of clients that may have demonic issues or
Mm-hmm.
entities. It is not a coincidence that I work with women that have suffered with violence or sexual abuse.
Yeah.
This was my soul's journey to travel through it, fly through it,
Mm.
understand the energy of it so that I could empower others to
Mm.
shift it. And I can't teach something that I haven't experienced. That is
Absolutely.
inauthentic, right? So we
Absolutely.
look at the scale of consciousness, and
Mm,
fear and shame are right at the bottom.
mm, mm,
Fear is death.
mm,
Shame is 20 hertz. Then I look at authenticity, that's above joy.
mm.
When I can
Absolutely.
get to the point where I don't judge myself and I don't give a rat's ass what you think
Mm.
of me,
Yep.
I'm speaking my truth, that's when the truth will
Absolutely.
set you free. And
Mm,
I honor my soul for
mm,
being brave enough to say, hey, I'm here to be a world changer.
mm, mm.
That works with my numerology chart, that works with my human design, that works with the timeline that I was born into as a triple Gemini. It's all purposeful. Therefore, nothing's wasteful. My pain has become purposeful, and
Yeah.
that's where I can make peace. And isn't
Well,
heaven
very,
peace?
yeah, very well said that, because I think this is what. So you said you're Gemini. Are you a Gemini?
I'm a Gemini.
Are you born this month?
Yeah.
I am.
Happy birthday to are you as well? Happy
Yes.
birthday to us.
Happy birthday to us. I'm on the 14th. So it's going to be interesting. Oh, that's cool. So coming back to that experience that you said about, the world, the out of body experience, like some trauma and everything, and then you find yourself in your own conscious element that you are. And nobody knows how long are we here for or what's our time limit. But the experience that we have, the seeking that we have the consciously knowing about us that we find ourselves into is one of the biggest and the beautiful experience that anyone can have. So finally, I want to ask you this, like as I said, like to all the listeners who are listening currently, and to all the people who will listen to this episode of us, I would definitely like to explore more on some of the aspects that we discussed today. Was one of the things came out of it was awakening. Now, is awakening is also a part of the outer body experience or that you experience, or is spirituality, and as you said in your culture when you were mentioning about, so that's again gives us three options like science, religion, and then spirituality, how they tie in with each other and how they are so different, but people get mixed up and people get too much bogged down with the titles rather than experiencing what we are discussing today.
Yeah,
It's
they're
all
actually
out of body.
all the same thing,
Is
but
mm,
in this dimension, we're in a mirrored dimension, which is
correct.
everything's back to front.
Absolutely.
So, in order to see truth, you must look at inversion, which is looking into the mirror. Okay.
Mm.
Now, we mentioned that if somebody triggers you, I
Mm.
can't change the mirror. They're my mirror, their
So
field,
true.
their light.
So,
I can change in me
mm.
what is triggering me so that I'm not attracting that anymore if it's not within my personal boundary, right? It's the same collectively we're manifesting. We're
Absolutely.
manifesting with segregational things that were purposefully put there, placed there by those that know exactly what we're talking about here to cause divide. Because
Mm.
imagine when human beings wake up and remember we're all
Absolutely.
one. There's
Mm.
no divide culturally, religiously. We're all eternal spirits. We
Exactly.
are,
Mm.
we're
We are
talking
all.
the same thing with different languages, and
Mm.
they're when we get to this point, and I believe we're on the cusp of it with some visions that I've seen, Babylon has fallen. Babylon's confusion, right? Now,
Mm.
to have a teachable heart is the trick that we need to open up our heart and say, okay, Shailesh is talking slightly different language to me. I'm
Mm.
going to feel into it. Are we speaking about the same thing here?
Mm.
That's when the aha moments
The
happen.
aha moment
Yeah.
coming. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I think it is all about experiencing a human experience and humanity, as you rightly said, when you become conscious, you leave aside all the identities, you leave aside all the titles, you only bring to yourself is humanity because you are human to start with. And I think this is a conscious again. Are we human? Have you asked this question to yourself? Are you still human? Have you become a human? Are you being a human? And this again leads to all the conscious. Then again, this leads to also your out of body aspects. Like, bodily, you can say these are your titles, that because you see it and you can identify it. But inside, as you rightly said, innerly, we don't know. So, and we have to know ourselves innerly first before we put outside anything from our inside. So, inside is the most important part of the aspect, and that is a consciousness, whereas outside is all about subconscious, basically, to put it in a simple way and simple in my own terms. But again, what's your final message to all the listeners, Michelle, here with this out of body experience? And we will come back to this segregating many, many things out of this. Out of body is not just experiencing without your body, or you are lying in a body, but your body is not working, but the rest, everything is working, and you feel that I am experiencing out of body. But it's great. Too many things are there that can come out of it, but
So many, and it's exciting. Like
and it's exciting.
you are not trapped. So
Yeah.
even if you're going through the most difficult of circumstances, and we're compassionate to that, allow your mind to visualize a beautiful, peaceful, tranquil garden, and
Mhm.
you will land there because you are co-creating your reality. If you give gratitude, even for the most dense season that you might be walking through now,
Mhm.
can shift it by simply imagining it. But it isn't just the thoughts, it's
Mhm.
aligning the thoughts with the heart, which means weaving in the feelings. Feelings are the energy. That's how I
Correct.
That's how I co-create with spirit. The kingdom of heaven's on the inside. And so
Right.
if you're holding fear,
Mm,
you haven't landed yet. You
mm,
haven't remembered yet. And my prayer today would be that anyone that hears this conversation would have the switch activated and remember that they are so much. Mem in Hebrew means water, that your water matrix has the
mhm.
ability to hold the light field that is love, joy, peace, abundance, and everything else that is your spiritual birthright. That's my prayer today, that I'd like to leave you all on, that you are not stuck with circumstances. You are more than capable of co-creating a better lifestyle
Mm.
just by simply visualizing and traveling there as a little child, weaving joy
Absolutely.
into it.
Very well said, Michelle. That's a great message to all the listeners. As you can see, that you have to take that action, you have to do that action, and you have to make that conscious decision to yourself to experience this. And that's what we call it out of body experience.
Yeah.
With that note,
Amazing. I'd love
thank
to
you.
maybe give some practical, because in each session that I do, I like to give people practical tools. Here's some things that help.
Mm,
Fasting
mm,
raises your vibrational state. Yeah, just start slow, 1 day, 2 days, water fasting, whatever works for you. Make sure you bless the water as you drink it because you're ingesting energy. Um, use 432 hertz frequencies. You can find them on YouTube, or if you are stuck with that, reach out to me. And breath work. It allows us to release energy and pull back in from the etheric realm. The etheric realm has been removed from the periodical chart, but it is where it's all happening. So the ancients knew this. And if you practice that on repeat, that will really help you. And movement. Don't be stuck. You know, when we're feeling depressed, we want to blob on the couch. We want to eat garbage. Well, energy matches energy. If I'm feeling shitty, I'll eat shitty food. If
mm,
if my nervous system is feeling like I need to hide and huddle, that's
mm.
in freeze mode. It isn't working with your spirit. Work with the spirit and you'll be free. The spirit's not bound by anything.
Very well said. Thank you, Michelle, for these beautiful tips. And to all the listeners, please write to us. Please send us your feedback. But also, we will come back with you with some amazing topics like that. And also, we will uncover more from this topic, and we will bring Michelle back again for different topics that we can really help you guide us, guide each other, and heal each other. So her goal is me coaching. Her goal is mentoring. But as I always say that, when you manifest, you are also a mentor to yourself. So be that mentor to yourself and take the tips from Michelle of today's episode. And we'll come back once again. Thank you once again, Michelle.
Thank
Till
you,
next time.
Shailesh. Appreciate you.